Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to, we're actually not doing a reaction as we typically do. We will be reviewing season 14 of SpongeBob SquarePants. In the past, I have done season 1 of the Patrick Star Show, and I did season 13 of SpongeBob. So if you want to see those reviews, see how the format kind of is, you can go probably somewhere there or go in the SpongeBob playlist. It'll be there. And I also reacted to the Sandy Cheeks movie, that wild ride of a film, if you could call it a film. So that's going to be somewhere here as well. So I like to kind of have a small summary, a little recap of my thoughts of the newer season of SpongeBob. I think people try to always put a negative aura onto the newer seasons. I like to kind of maybe celebrate or see what it can do to improve, to be better. So if you want more reviews, more analysis, anything of SpongeBob, please let me know down below. And if you're new to the channel, I do reactions mainly for cartoons. I try to do anime. I love anime, but I've seen too much of it. Music's my main thing, if you couldn't tell. Some animated films, maybe some films in the future. So if that interests you at all, subscribe, join the Patreon, support that. All right, season 14 review. Let's get it. Season 14 of SpongeBob manages to give the series some direction as they are embracing what makes modern SpongeBob. The animation is still colorful, the exaggerated, hilarious, and sometimes impressively ugly faces is great, and the continued mixture of standalone episodes alongside not only fan service heavy episodes, but pivotal connections to the other spin-off series, The Patrick Star Show and Camp Coral. One of the welcome additions this season provided was something I had been wanting from the series is shorter seasons, cutting away from the typical 20 plus episode schedule, as this season contained under 12 episodes, which is the lowest since season 10. The impact of this is immediately felt as our main character SpongeBob has significantly less screen time and focus, as more of the secondary characters from Bubble Bass, Plankton, and Mr. Krabs are allowed to have more full-centered plots and episodes dedicated to them. This showed the writers were confident in making standalone episodes, which proved to be successful for the most part. SpongeBob can play in the background amazingly, well, much like how we see him in the Saving Sandy Cheeks movie, or gives a nice compliment for Mr. Krabs, Plankton's, or Bubble Bass's hijinks. A big weak spot we see this season is with the execution of plot lines and the endings of episodes, as they felt mediocre or uninteresting. I think this will always be the case for every newer season, but I just need to make it known. Maybe they can learn from the Patrick Star Show with the neater and more organized writing that usually makes the episodes flow smoothly. Also, a big thing is just their scheduling and their release of episodes. It gets really irritating that they randomly leak episodes or they don't really announce when they'll be coming out. So please do better in that. These next points will either be a hit or miss for the season, and it will probably be the deciding factor of how one views the season, as both the spin-off inclusion and the nostalgia episodes can be polarizing, to say the least. If one does not care for the Patrick Star Show, Camp Coral, and even the Saving Sandy Cheeks movie, then perhaps they will view the inclusions of episodes such as PL 193, Sheldon's SquarePants, Creepaway Camp, and Sandy's Country Christmas as confusing or horrendous. For me, I feel it's important and creative for the show to incorporate those other series, as it can expand the show's funness nature. And also, if those shows are being ended early or not revived, they can simply implement those elements into this new SpongeBob. Though there will be heavy discussion on how they handle Squiddy Box and maybe some other ones, we get episodes like Momageddon, Hysterical History, to sort of justify it. I'm in the camp of thinking Squiddy Box was okay and solid, but I've seen the noise about it, though I will have to preface that some of the fan service lore episodes did feel accomplished, but a little bit awkward. But I also had some reservations for it. And I think that kind of goes with a lot of the other fan service heavy episodes. Some feel it's paying homage and it's respecting it and it's having fun. Other times it's a little bit rough or it feels inserted. I think they've done this better in previous seasons. This one is a mixed bag for sure, especially when you're including the other spin-off series into the fold. Episodes. So I always have two categories. I feel the series offers both experiences of fun, new, fresh ideas, while also giving into callbacks, references, and revisiting, which longtime fans would love or maybe even hate to see. Now, there are 2 episodes this season that they moved to season 15 as they split season 14 up. So those episodes being Sammy Suckerfish and Big League Bob. This sucks because I really like the colors and aesthetics of Sammy Suckerfish, and Big League Bob might actually be one of my favorite episodes that aired in season 14. So we'll probably see it in the best episodes of season 15. Top episodes. Now, before we get to the top 5, just one honorable mention, In the Mood to Feud. That one just had Narlene and the Plankton family. I kind of like that aspect of them fighting and then them also having that tradition of fighting every time and just involving kind of Sandy, Patrick, and SpongeBob to sort of facilitate through it. And it's cool when and it's inclusive when you have characters who never really interact with one another come together, whether they're fighting or it's a good thing. Number 5, we have Bassword. This is Bubble Bass and Squidward. They go to a convention and it's 2 of the most snobbiest, elitist people in the series. And it's fun to see them banter and to fight it out. And this actually marks the first episode SpongeBob is not present at all. Number 4, we have Sheldon SquarePants. I think Plankton and SpongeBob, usually when they're paired up, it's always fire. And this one, they kind of have a weird plot of Plankton actually being related to SpongeBob or being like a brother. So that's really interesting how that goes about. And also we learned his tie's fake. So this episode does a lot. Number 3, we have Don't Make Me Laugh. I think this one is hilarious because SpongeBob simply is not supposed to laugh, but he goes into things that aren't funny, but he's gonna laugh at them. So like he goes to a funeral or to a sad movie, and I love the expressions here. And then even the ending of this episode, if I remember correctly, the grandma's there, and it's like the sort of embrace that they have. And she says, "Never stop being you, never stop laughing." It was just really heartfelt, actually. But this is an episode, I saw some people maybe were annoyed with it, but I thought it was very charming, and I think it's kind of the epitome of like when you get new SpongeBob. And again, just to kind of put him in this morbid sort of like, that's not supposed to be funny, but it kind of is funny. It was just great. It was great. Number 2, we have Tango Tangle. This one should be number 1 maybe, but I still love this one for Plankton and for Karen. They are a very toxic couple, and I just mean that with Plankton being the toxic one here. But this episode had them dancing, had them in new lights, had them with good music, good choreography, and it was just so fun to have them not fighting, not bickering. Again, those moments to me are some of my favorites, especially when they had the kid or they had Spike. So this one is just another example of that. And I guess the one that's making the waves is the hips fish girl. I'm not really on that, but I've seen the medias have fun with that a little bit. And I think the cute part here too is SpongeBob's in the background, so he's learning how to dance, but again, the attention isn't towards him. And then I think Bubble Bass and the mom actually compete against Karen and Plankton. So it's the same thing, like they're involving other characters that don't really interact with one another and just kind of puts them in different situations. It's really fun to see. And again, to me, just positive Karen and Plankton is always good television. And number 1, this one might be surprising, but Buff or Puff. This one has Mr. Krabs kind of be jealous of Larry the Lobster because he's very fit and he's not. So Mr. Krabs goes to a gym, and it's hilarious to see him go through this montage and everything, and also too incorporating Larry's gym. I love that. And then again, SpongeBob just on the side of Mr. Krabs. He's not really in the forefront. He's just kind of there. And then the funny joke of it is just he does all the work and then he's supposed to come out a new man, and then it was just like 3 days or something that it worked out. And he was like, "Why aren't I skinny?" I just thought that was so relatable too to how people view fitness in life. So just having that love triangle, the fact that they didn't really need to rely on SpongeBob, the show was still entertaining, the jokes still hit. It showed that the strength that they have of the secondary characters of the premises, of how the episode can be just really funny and relatable. So I just thought this was a perfect example of what new SpongeBob can be if they just really hone in on it and just focus on just the comedy aspect and the better, more intricate plots. Nostalgic fan service episodes. So we have a lot of them. They incorporate elements, classic elements that we have seen throughout the series, things that everyone will know and recognize. So Sandy's Country Christmas, it's the most latest thing that has come out, and this one is important if you have seen the Sandy Cheeks movie because they incorporate Sandy's family into SpongeBob canonically. Now, whether we see them later on in the series, that's for the writers and the creators to deal with. But basically, now they can utilize that entire family and make them a part of Bikini Bottom. That's kind of great and inclusive because the episode we see later on includes all the family. So this kind of seems right. Squidward Box, that's the big one here. This one involves the usage of the box from Imagination. We all know it. And a lot of people really weren't a big fan of how they utilized it here. I'm kind of 50-50 because I think people think of this as a sequel, but I think this is more just like acknowledging what it was. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it could have been better, I think. I think they also did include a Doodle Bob. It's been a while since I've seen it, but yeah, like maybe could have been better, but it's still nice that they're embracing it. They're making it aware, but maybe this shows that they don't always need to pay homage to it all the time. Again, we've seen previously how they've done it much better, more creatively. So we'll see. But this episode is also fun. I don't know. You have to watch it and be the judge for yourself. Even me, as someone who loves the more nostalgic callbacks and kind of watches for that, I felt a little bit 50-50 on it. Mooned. I love the folklore of there's like a jellyfish that appears every like 25 years. And we also get back Kevin. The plot line here is a little bit weird towards the end when they use their butts to moon and bring the light. It was such a cartoony and immature thing, but like I kind of have to applaud it. That clever. I don't know. Really, see, that's why I'm saying sometimes the writing can be a little bit iffy. PL 1413. This one is supposed to pay homage and reflect SB 129, the iconic episode with the cavemen, with the jellyfishing, with the time travel. And this one was also episode 300. This one's cool because we see Plankton go into Chrome future, everything's Chrome in the future, and kind of just see where everyone's at in the future. It's pretty fun. It goes through, different characters in the city, and then it kind of has a satisfying conclusion where this is just like a big time loop. I'm kind of a fan of those storylines. So I thought it was pretty decent. Maybe it could have been better, but decent. Oh, and the big thing here is actually, this is the episode where they tie in Camp Coral to SpongeBob, where they just kind of have Camp Coral Sandy. It gets really complex and nutty here. I was kind of shocked even when I saw it. Like I don't really know what to think, but it's the way that they're connecting the two universes. So, Momageddon. This is an episode that reveals and finally shows us Squidward's dad, who never hugged him. We have Squidward's mom. We have all the parents. We have SpongeBob's mom, dad, Mr. Krabs' mom and dad. So this was so fun. And it had the characters revert back to when they were children. So they were just like playing games. The mom was running the restaurant. Just like more family, more of that slice of life kind of feel. I just really liked it. Also, Bubble Bass was here. He wasn't overused. They were replicating. Since he's a mama's boy, the boys followed his role. So it was just really cool. Nice way to use him. And just, again, it made me feel warm and fuzzy to see the parents all together. And again, just a celebration. And I think after like 25 years and you finally see like characters you haven't seen before or in a long time, it gets you like excited. Next up at 3, sorry, I'm not keeping numbers, but assume it's just numerical. Hysterical History. This one is a lore bomb or if it depends if you view SpongeBob and Patrick as honest narrators. But they basically go through a museum where they go through the past and then more and then the present and then the future on the Bikini Bottom. Whether or not you believe in what they say, that's fine, but obviously for the lore enthusiasts, it's pretty chaotic and crazy, and they involve the cavemen again. They have Mr. Krabs and Plankton in a battle, and they have Mrs. Puff with the auto industry, and then they have the future, which, well, I actually kind of really liked how they went about this. All the time frames is just really fun, chaotic, pays homage, net references. It was a great episode. Number 2, we have Creepaway Camp. This was the big special, I believe, for Halloween. And it involved, I guess now they're gonna really stick with the beginnings of their origin was in Camp Coral. So it ties in Camp Coral into SpongeBob canonically. Because they go and revisit a lot of the characters that were present in Camp Coral appear here. So that's why if you watch this, I think you can appreciate a lot of the more spooky and dark horror homages to films and to just like that weird mystery vibe. But then you include the other half of it, which is, oh, here's going to be characters and references to the show, Camp Coral. Majority of people haven't seen Camp Coral. I've only seen a couple of episodes. It was like the first 3 or 6. But I would assume diehard fans would be like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And that's how even I reacted, because I was really impressed. Like, wow, they're actually really incorporating a lot of their spin-off stuff into the actual mainline series. I think My Little Pony has done that with Equestria Girls, and we saw a little bit of that with Fiona and Cake, even though I think that's more a continuation. But that was really cool. It was a fun episode just to have this expansive cast, and it can run a little bit slow, but I think all the horror elements and the tropes that they play into or they break, the like the humor was really fun, and the inclusion of Camp Coral, that could be a good or bad thing, but I thought it was fantastic. The last one, this one might be a more standalone episode, but I think at its core it's referencing the iconic anchovies, which Sponge-chovy. A lot of people say this is a cursed episode, but I thought this was so fun. I thought the way that they utilized this as like a disease, as a curse, and we see the different forms, and we see just the me be the entire dialogue. I don't know, there was just something really horrifying with it, but like brilliant. This reminds me of the episode Krabby Patty, Creature Feature, and Planet of the Jellyfish. But you just incorporate the anchovies and just like the weird morbidity of it. Again, there's not much to say about it. It's just there's something super hilarious about it and like wrong, but it works pretty well. Final/overall impressions. Overall, season 14 felt like the series adapting to much more less bloated climate of episodes while incorporating those spin-off series into the mainline show, which brings in so much more characters and adds a bit of historical significance to the timeline if we are diving into that. I feel the short amount of episodes is going to help the show if they manage to keep it up while hopefully allowing them to continue the embracing of what makes modern SpongeBob good. I personally need some better writing for the endings and maybe humor to hit a bit harder and some better execution and usage of classic references. But I believe this season was a stepping stone for obtaining a direction and era with the series. With The Patrick Star Show, Camp Coral, and Sandy's long-awaited family in the fold, how will this impact the series? I am eager to find out. I'm giving season 14 a 7 to a 6.5 out of 10. Alright guys, that's going to be it for me. Thank you for joining me. If you want more reviews of SpongeBob, if you want more analysis, videos, content, let me know down below. I always have fun with these. I like to kind of see how the season was. I like to kind of spew my thoughts a little bit, summarize. And also, I just try to kind of get people maybe to not be so judgmental about new SpongeBob. Not only is it like one of my favorite things ever, but in general, I think any long-lasting cartoon show will always sort of hit this status where the glory days are gone and now it's an abomination and now we gotta throw it away. Because I still think there's very talented people working behind the scenes and making the entire project. I think as long as it's not totally tarnishing the name and the reputation that it's built, I think we should give it a honest and fair shake. Alright guys, that's going to be it for me. The next time we see each other for SpongeBob, we'll be diving into Season 15 reactions. So, I will see you guys there. Don't forget to subscribe, Patreon, and stuff like that.